Homeowners, people with a mortgage, there's no doubt that the coronavirus has affected a lot of people's lives. Some people have been laid off. Some people have seen their work hours heavily reduced. Now, if you're behind on your mortgage, if you're having a hard time making those payments, one, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad because you are not alone. And two, do not panic. Look, the reality is that when the bank originated this loan, they gave thought and consideration to the possibility and the risk that yes, one day you might have a hard time making those payments. So what I'm getting at is that there are systems in place, there are options. Let's take a look at some of these options coming up. I started in real estate in 2008 during the Great Recession. During this time, a lot of people were behind on their mortgage. So I know from firsthand experience that the bank does not want to foreclose on your home. They are not in the business of repossessing people's properties. They want to work things out with you as much as you want to work things out with them. Now, the reason I say this is because I don't want you to be scared or afraid to contact your bank if you are having a hard time making your payments. And the conversation can be a simple one. It's like, hey, my name is Daniel Rangel. I hope you're doing well. Look, as you might know, there's this whole coronavirus thing going on, and well, I'm having a hard time making my payments. What are my options? And very likely the little boy or girl who picks up the phone on the other end already has some script or some system passed down from corporate to help them address that question, to direct you so you can get some options. So what do these options look like? Let's take a look. Option number one, forbearance. Under this option, you come to an agreement with the bank to postpone, to defer, or suspend your monthly payments for a given period of time. For example, let's say Bob. Bob loses his job. Well, Bob now needs time to find a new job. So he comes to an agreement with the bank to suspend his monthly payments for 3 or 4 months to give him time to find a new job. Now, it's important to recognize that you do want to have this conversation about forbearance with the bank as opposed to not, and just not making your payments for 3 or 4 months, because you want to avoid the bank foreclosing on your property while you're out there looking for a job. Now, the key here is communication. You want to be on the same page with the bank. And number two, about forbearance, you want to recognize that forbearance does not mean forgiveness. So you would have to pay this money back, which brings me to option number two. Option number two, repayment plan. This is pretty much what it sounds like. You set up a plan or a repayment plan to bring your account current on any past due amounts. For example, let's say Bob hasn't made his payments for the past 3 months. Now, typically it would be pretty difficult for Bob to become current on 3 months worth of payments in one lump sum. So what he does is he sets up a payment plan with the bank to spread that debt over a period of a year or two, during which time he's making installment payments to make it easier for him to catch up. Option number three, loan modification. Under this option, if you qualify, you come to an agreement with the bank to modify the original terms of your mortgage to make your payments more affordable. For example, this can include reduction of interest rate. It can include extending the term of the loan, for example, from 20 years to 30 years, again, to make those payments more affordable. And in some cases, it can even include principal reduction or forgiveness of debt. Now, with any of these options, it's important to recognize that you do have to qualify. You have to be able to prove to the bank that it makes financial sense to work with you. So if you have a long history of unemployment, or you have $1 million in the bank and you're current on your monthly payments, it might be pretty difficult to get some of these options. Now, as a side note, if your loan is owned by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, which a good chunk of them are, you might be in a better position than most. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have committed to suspending foreclosures for 60 days. At the same time, they're offering forbearance plans for up to 12 months without reporting to the credit bureaus and without applying any late fees. Now, just because your statement says Wells Fargo or Chase, it doesn't mean that it's owned by Wells Fargo or Chase. Your loan could very well be owned by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. To find out, I've put some links below. Check those out. And finally, if you've exhausted all attempts and you're still having a hard time making your payments and the bank is not working with you, my recommendation is contact your realtor or contact me and put your property for sale. Because if the bank forecloses on it, you might end up with nothing as opposed to something if you sell it on your own terms. But hopefully it doesn't come down to this. That's why my recommendation is if you're having a hard time making your payments, get a hold of your lender. Do it sooner rather than later, and the worst thing you can do is do nothing at all. By the way, my name is Daniel Rangel. I'm a real estate agent in Los Angeles. If I can be of any help, it would be an honor.